What's up, guys? It's the Brazilian Bros with Mac Kiteboarding, and we have an exceptional guest today. This is none other than Aaron Hadlow. We're incredibly happy to be here with him in Taiba to ask him a few questions, pick his brains about the Harlem gear, and then go out into the water and see him in action. We are super stoked. So, Aaron, I think the first thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you get into the kite surfing world? What was your trajectory through like those early stages of learning how to get upwind, through winning world titles and then winning King of the Airs? How did that come to be initially?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. But yeah, basically I learned when I was like 10 years old with my dad. He was a windsurfer, and then it came into kiting in the late 90s when it was like really early days. Basically, the first inflatable kite was released, and then it was safe, I guess. 2-line still, death machine. But yeah, I picked it up there pretty quickly. And then my early years was a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. Like, first 3 years, I went up through the UK scene, competitions. Within 3 years, I was on the world tour. Won my first championship in 2004, 5 years consecutively. After that, went into more like, freeriding, I guess, like video projects, needed a bit of a change, did a few different things. Stayed motivated, changing disciplines, a bit of park, freestyle. Then big air came along, extended my career further, went into the King of the Air, pretty full on in the big air stuff. Always riding big air since I was a kid with Ruben, so Ruben Lenten. And just always been keen on developing products, making sure I'm riding the best gear, and now, trying to make the best gear for the market as well.
That is awesome. I think one of the things that's so cool is that you've dominated freestyle, and then there is this jump between freestyle and big air. How was that transition? Do you think like your background in freestyle helped you to progress through big air tricks? And what was that transition like between freestyle and big air?
Yeah, I guess, that was the main switch in the sport at that time. And for sure, the freestyle background is priceless, like the skills you learn, and also from the early days with gear not being as easy to use and stuff, you really learn how to control your board and have such an intense, perfect feeling in the kites. So it was just natural in the time as well. I was like still trying to push for freestyle stuff, but I was getting a bit older. There was new generations coming through. Just the impact on the body, and it was quite intense in the end. I had injuries in my knees and stuff. But I've always just tried to follow the sport and be at the forefront of where the sport is going. So it was natural for me to move over to that side. And less impact. Of course, the risk is high when you do crash, but the times you crash is less. So it's like a bit of a balance. But it was great to be at the start of the big air scene once again. It was in boots with a sea kite as well at the start. It's pretty nuts to think. But now you just see how the kite's developed, how the new kids push the sport as well. So it's nice to see. I'm just happy that I've been there from the start and still able to be current. I can go for a sesh with the boys and still hold my own, So it's good. It's just natural. I always just try and go where the sport's going.
That's awesome. And I think another really cool aspect of you is that I think, like you mentioned, you saw the evolution of equipment in the sport. And for me, it was always nuts to see guys in C-shade with boots, throwing it down, like going massive, because when things go wrong in boots and big air, they really go wrong. So what was it like to see that, like the equipment, the materials, the design? What was it like to see that? And what do you think are some like the biggest improvements that you've seen in kites from the early stage 5-line C-shaped kites with no bridles to now?
Yeah, I guess the biggest shift was when the kites went much flatter. We used to call them like the bow kites because they were like much flatter and had this new range of D-power. So I think that was a huge step in the accessibility of the sport. Of course, things were still being developed back then. And I was always holding on to the sea kite, the power, and trying to push the sport in a nice direction as well as I like to keep things difficult at the highest level. But as gear evolves, you're able to jump higher year upon year. You're able to learn and get to that top level, I think, quicker because you just have gear that's so accessible and let's say easy, really. I would say like it's just so easy to learn kite loops now, whereas you had full commitment on a sea kite back in the day to pull that first loop, I can tell you that. But nowadays, you can go with a smaller kite. The kite really whips around quick. You can get the feeling and then kind of work your way up. So yeah, I think there's been huge improvements. And yeah, let's say recently you don't see it year upon year, but when you look back, say 5 years or even 3 years, like you can see the step in each of those years get to where it is now. And I think the introduction of Brainchild is probably the most recent evolvement or step forward in the industry, like just the way the technologies are incorporated, the weight savings. So for me, that's a huge reason why I moved to Harlem.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's an incredible way in which the industry is going. I see Ralph as sort of like a pioneer. He decided to do things his own way. I'm going to open my own factory and I'm going to build kites for different companies, which I think that hadn't never been done before with a single designer producing kites for multiple companies. What was that shift like? Because obviously you were working with Ralph when he was at Duotone. What was that shift like to basically being with a new brand under a new factory, working with Ralph? What was that like, that sort of transition to this new, I guess, chapter of your career?
Yeah, totally. I'm very involved with Harlem now. And yeah, I mean, it was a difficult decision. Like things at Duotone were great, and working with Ralph was amazing. Like we had such a good relationship over 10 years, first with the Sea Kite, the Vegas, and then, yeah, started to just learn more and more about different aspects of kites and different models. So yeah, it got to the point where it was clear that he wasn't going to be there anymore, and that I would have to maybe make up grow that relationship with somebody else, which is difficult. You have your own ideas and you work with someone for a long time. But like I saw the vision he had also from the factory. And then after being in touch with the Harlem guys and being given an opportunity there to, take on a role, it was a difficult decision, but I think it was just a good time for a change for me. And that's like the bottom line. It's like I could be more influential in a smaller company, really put my ideas across, and that's where we are now, 1 year and a little bit later down the line, and fully into it, and it's going well.
I think going well is an understatement, right? I think Harlem is on the tip of the tongue of everyone I talk to. Everyone wants to fly the Thrive. They want to fly the Peak. I think there's a lot of interest in gear from Harlem, particularly because I think there's a relationship there between you and Ralph in the development, right? So I think it's very important for brands to have a pilot who has so much experience on their hands, but he's also able to communicate things to the designer so they can then take it to the next level. And of course, you have Leo and Lorenzo, who are now taking the kites and winning comps and just taking to the next level, which is awesome to see. So what I think going into the Harlem sort of lineup, obviously you started off with the Force, and then moved on to the Thrive, and now the Peak was just released. If we can focus on the Thrive and the Peak, starting with the Thrive, what are some of the main features about the Thrive, and who do you recommend the Thrive for?
Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying before, we really try and differentiate the kites and make it clear for what the kite's purpose is and for what kind of riders. Like, as all brands and kites, they do intertwine, of course, but like we really try and separate it. So the Thrive specifically is meant to be the go-to, easy use, very forgiving kite that works in all conditions. And is very consistent throughout the sizes, 6 all the way up to 17. So that's it. I mean, we want something comfortable, good D-power, quick and easy to use, light bar pressure, but something that you can extract performance from as well. When I first switched over, the Thrive was pretty much the first kite that I got into, and I was able to compete on that. You've seen Lorenzo win competitions on that kite. So the performance is there, but the range of accessibility is there as well. You can come in and, we have people learning on that kite to intermediates, and it's a progression-based kite, basically, yeah.
Awesome. And what about the Peak? Obviously is a 5-strut platform that has now I mean, we looked at the most recent Cold Hawaii and all these recent comps, a lot of buzz around this kite. What is special about the Peak, and what is sort of like the differences, and who do you recommend the Peak for?
Yeah, the Peak's 5-strut, a little bit more pushed towards just pure big air. So this kite will have a bit more of a progressive arc, like a progressive turn, so it's a bit more rounder. So for one, the loop will be a bit rounder, and the turning will be a bit more consistent. Bar pressure a bit more. This kite is, the Thrive is a fixed bridle, whereas the Peak has like a limited kind of stop pulley bridle, which means you just have more connection to the backlines when depowered. So like the Peak, you would just ride more overpowered and have more control. So you have more connection to the backlines when you're depowered or overpowered, which means, yeah, you can really get a lot of speed and you can flick the kite when you're like really charging. And yeah, it's just a little bit structurally more solid. This kite really feeds into the wind like really hard. I mean, it's a feature of all Ralph's kites at Harlem that they bite into the wind quite far. But the Peak is quite extreme, which means you get, with the ride timing, you really get like a really vertical takeoff, which is just like total key to having control in the air, whether it's just for board offs or to know that you have the confidence to pull that kite loop. So I think that's the main thing, is like, the way that it feeds, because the kite flies, obviously with the weight and the design, the kite flies and catches you really quick. You have a crazy second lift and down loop. But again, it has to be easy to use for 90% of the 95% of the people out there. So everything we design is always based on the consumer, the end product that everybody can get on, but also has that potential to extract if you're at a high level.
Absolutely. I think that's super important, right? To keep that accessibility. I think that the best kite for you, Lorenzo, Astino, and Leo, may not be the best kite for the guy who's out there maybe kiting once a week. There has to be that degree of putting yourself into the customer's shoes and trying to develop a product that is top of the line. That is awesome. I am looking forward. I can see the trees moving. I'm looking forward to see you out there throwing it down on a couple of those kites. I want to ask you a final question. It's sort of like your future plans. I mean, you've won everything that there is to be won, and now you are coming up with awesome products. What is the things, the goals, the things that you still want to move towards and work towards? Like, what does the future look like in terms of that for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely very involved at Harlem and pushing the brand forward from a product perspective. So I'm super competitive on the water, but also, off the water with the products. So I want to help deliver the best products on the market as well. That's a key goal we have in mind with Ralph as well. Yeah, personally, this is going to be definitely a part of my future. Not so many competitions as before, like it's crazy to see, but I always like to help the younger generation come up, give advice. We're doing some coaching here and there, video projects. I have a new cool project coming very soon to give a bit of a boost to the freestyle side of things. So we got a lot of cool projects coming, and I'm excited to be a part of that, be the face of some of these products, and make something cool for the industry. And let's see where it goes.
Yeah, that is awesome. I think Aaron's a legend. We're so happy to meet him. I think he's an example of somebody who's been professional all through his career, who's accomplished so much, who's really down to earth. It's been amazing to meet him. And you've heard it here you've heard it here first, folks. It's a mouthful. He's got a freestyle project coming up, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching this interview. Stay tuned because we're gonna have some water action right now. As always, make sure to subscribe to Matt Kite's YouTube channel and to follow Aaron Hadlow and the Brazilian Bros on Instagram for some awesome kite surfing content. Stay tuned because you're not going to miss it. Ciao. Oh, that was fun.